Steve, hi, how you doing? Hope you're well. Today I'm going to be doing a start to finish ambient track, and it might be the odd one or two cuts, but it's going to be the whole process as I'm going to it. So let's get into it. So I created a little bit of a brief, and I'm going to have this anyway, so I may as well be transparent and just actually show it. So these were the ideas that I had. Let's put them into practice. Let's see what happens. We'll start with the first melody. We're going to have a nice simple sine wave, and for that I'm going to use the wave table, drag that into the first synth slot, and in there I want to have, go into effects, I've got a couple of shifter harmonics. We'll use the shifter chord delay, and let's see what it sounds like. So you can get quite out of tune if you put the third on. Put the fifth on. Gets a little bit mad when you start playing melodies, so we'll turn the fifth off. We'll put the next octave up. Yeah, that sounds alright. Changing the scale to A minor, so you can play along with all the white keys if you want to kind of do this in tandem. And the metronome is on with a 1 bar count in, so yep, I'm using the push. Let's get on to that. Let's just play in a melody, see what happens. Right, going to quantize. Pop that back one. So, what next note there? Pop that there. Right, great. We've got a little bit of a synth line going on. So the next thing we'll look at is a waveform, some sort of waveform using the bad tape effect, which let's drag in an analog. We'll knock it down to just a single oscillator. I'll drag in the first bad tape. Let's randomize it, see what happens. I quite like that actually. There's a really weird sort of thing going on there, so okay, quantize that. Move that over so it's on. Excellent. So this is more about getting the sound palette rather than the finished product, but we'll start playing around with different melodies, different feels and everything like that when we get into it. I'll pop pad onto there now. We're going to use the Rain resonator pad. So I'll grab the resonator pad effect, pop it onto pad 1, and it needs to go after, or the production strip curve needs to go after it. And all I'm going to drop in here is a simpler, and in that simpler I'm going to I'll pop into this samples folder, and in there I've got Rain. Pop that one in it. I'll just go into there and just set up a 4 bar loop, playing it on the main key, drag that all the way at the end. And what we need to do is change that. Pop it down to the A below. That's an A minor chord, got the +3 +7 semitones. Now what we need to do with that is add some reverb, and I'm going to put the reverb directly in the channel chain. Let's go for the free one, supermassive. And let's go for the reverbs, and let's go for large. We'll take C beams. I like that. A bit quieter, wider. Little bit of width to that. Works quite well with this sort of pad sound, I feel. I'm going to pop another pad on there, and with this one, all I'm going to do is grab an operator. Bass patch, we're not doing anything to it at all. I'll just bring the volume down a little bit, and we're going to put in an arpeggio. We've got a MIDI effects and arpeggiator. Drag that in beforehand. We'll just keep the standard arpeggio, and if we hold down, so that's your A minor chord that I'm playing, but we're going to change that up a little bit. Alright, hold those three down. Right, so we'll drag that out. We'll make that 4 bars. So it's playing slightly different notes to the actual rain pad, and we're going to do exactly the same thing with that. We're going to drag in a Valhalla Supermassive, pop that after there. Just for continuity, we'll put the same patch on it. We'll pop that up to 100%, so when we play that, that needs to come down in volume. Quite a long way. Turn that off. Now we can play around with that at a later point. We can sort of bring it in, bring it out, and use it as a nice sort of change to the background. And we can also add notes to it. So I go up and put another couple on top. Best to solo this actually. So with the arpeggio going completely through the Valhalla Supermassive 100%, it ceases to become an arpeggio, and it's just a sort of intertwining of the notes. So we add the 3 notes on top like this, but we'll put it through the Valhalla, and it becomes a really beautiful pad-like sound. Next step. Something rhythmic, so we'll pop this onto the rhythm. And I'm going to use the operator random 3, which I seem to remember is the best one for this sort of thing. So on that track, for some reason it's not turned on. And let's just randomize it till we get something I like. It's a really interesting sound actually. Kind of interesting, but I'm not really sure it fits here. That's quite a nice, interesting sound. So let's playing a little bit. Now I'm going to do, just to get it, I'm going to stick a delay unit on this. I'll probably put a ping pong. I might actually draw this in because about 2 bars. We'll draw them in 1/8 notes, see what happens. I'm just double clicking here to add the notes. Let's just change that up slightly and select them all. Just bring the chance down. So it's still reasonably high, but we're not hitting everything at once. And what I'm going to do is duplicate that. And I'm going to move the notes around a little bit. Move some of these up as well. Turn it down a little bit. Excellent, and we'll do the same again. I'll solo it whilst we're doing this. We'll put something in there a bit like that. Quantize it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into the Berlin delay on this send, which is effectively what I've got going on here. So what I might do is delete that delay unit from the first one and put that into the Berlin as well. This just needs to come down in volume a little bit. You see that? It's just exactly the same delay. A little bit higher feedback. I'm not really sure about the melody itself, but I think it's all about the sound palette at this stage, so we'll see where we get with it. I kind of want to do something a bit more like low frequency based with this, so I'm going to drag another one of those in and let's see what we can come up with. Too much like a melodic. I'll pop something in with this. Make it a bit more like a kick. We'll put it on 1.5. We'll duplicate that. See what happens with it. Plus C isn't the bass note. Let's see. And I'm going to to pop another delay into that. This time I'm going to use the echo device to get a bit of a darker delay, or it's a bit sharper and more digital with the stock delay unit. I'm not going to make that dotted, make it notes. Put a little bit of wobble on it. Just solo this, okay. Good, pleased with that. Next thing, a little bit of atmosphere. So I'm going to go into the sample one that I made. I'm going to drag a simpler over, and I've actually got some really good binaural ones. Going into a cafe is a pretty good one from what I remember. So if I go there, this is me wearing binaural microphones and going into a cafe in York. So let's just solo this. Now that's a street entertainer. Got no idea who it was, but it's a great sample, so I can actually take that. Now because I'm in A minor, I'm going to go into controls. I'm going to transpose it up 3 semitones. Perfect. So now I can hold the root key, which is the A, and it'll play it at the actual speed it's supposed to be played at. Let's delete that. So let's play around with the sample and let's isolate that. Yeah, that'll work. And let's put the vintage effect. Which one? Vintage maker. I'll try that, see what happens. Brilliant. Turn that down a little bit on solo. Now I've also got Valhalla on there. And that has just got one of the medium room preset. You can see it's a 31-second delay, relatively long. I'll bring it down to just over 20. Yeah, that's about right. So let's get back to that answer. It's a great atmospheric thing. So I'm going to make this 8 bars long. I'll pop that there. I'm going to duplicate this because I'm going to use that same sample. We're going to find something else that we actually like within the sample itself. So there's quite a lot going on in here, so we'll just have to sort of scrub through. This is actually the end of the sample. That's quite interesting. We'll pop that onto an 8-bar loop as well, and we'll pop it over here and play that. That's good. Gives us a little bit of something to play with as well when we take it over in arrangement view and start messing around. Strings, right, for the strings I'm actually going to bring in, so in Reason Studio, so I'm going to drag the rack plug in. I'm going to just go for string work, turn off the length, pop the attack up a little bit, release up a little bit as well. I'm happy with, I better actually select the track. Now what I'm going to do, this is what I did in the Biosphere video. I'm going to grab an effect, and it is grit. Let's hit the width off it. And I'll pop a little bit down the strings, play a little bit of a pattern, see what comes out. Particularly like that, but it's the thing with the push, it's quite easy sometimes. Play accidental at the beginning. Put that into the Valhalla rhythm. Now, last thing I want to make is bass sound. So I'm going to go into there, and in here I've got bass low, I've got Siny Soy bass, which I used in the Lost Hill video. It's really, really simple. There's just a bit warmer preset on the saturator, and true to its name, a sine and a saw. So I'll play that. If I play that properly. So with this, we don't even need to play it in. What we'll do is just have a quick look on the EQ8. I'll just up that, and we can see we're at 55 Hz. It is quite low, but that's not too bad. It's all still audible down in the bass, so we'll pop that down there. Make the length 4 bars. And there we go, we've got the basic sound palette. We're ready to move into arrangement mode, start playing around, create the track, so come back for that part. So I added a couple of little bits, so I just put a couple of pitch hacks onto this synth here, so if I play that. So they're both doing reverse delay. I've got that one turned up more, and then the second one is the octave, and I just wanted that down a little bit in the mix, but it added a little bit of something nice extra to that melody line. And then I added a few other ideas into there, just outside of what the main phrase was. I just had a little play, something a little bit alternate. Normally I'd sort of riff out quite a few different ideas, but for the purposes of this, I thought it's a lot easier. We've got that main thing. We'll take that main thing, we'll put it over in the arrangement view, and we'll start playing around and see what we've got. So I'll just select that first one. I'm going to hold down Shift, select the last one, and now I've got all of the parts selected. I'm going to drag that, press Tab to take us into arrangement view, and I'm just going to stick that somewhere over here. And click this little button here, which switches all the tracks to arrangement. So we've got the overdub on, and we've also got the automation on as well. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to stretch it out, play around. The idea that that's the main theme, but this could very, very easily change, and just sort of build a few little things around it, see what happens. It might not work, it might work, yeah. Yeah. Alright, I can work that as an 8-bar. Let's take the clip length down there. And what we can do is add an inversion to that. I'll knock that down an octave, holding down shift and use the arrow key. Same thing again. Creates a slightly different feel with the inversions, and it's quite nice. You're playing exactly the same chord, but it just the voicing changes and it gives you a nice feel for how things are. So quite like that string. But I quite like the idea of actually having the rain pad at the very beginning and then maybe the strings coming in after that. So oops. That again, you can select both of them, move it along by one bar. Duplicate that. What I quite might do as well is I just grab that, take it out there, and I'm going to drag this, copy that, oops, this time I'll duplicate that. I'm going to double click on this, select everything that's in there, and I'm going to take the chance down to maybe 65%. So it's a little bit more sparse to first begin with. Yeah, that works nicely. And then it comes in a bit more. Now what might be nice there, if we extend this out, we do want it to repeat. So I'm going to make this into a 10 bar loop. And on that 8, I'll just select those, use Option, drag them over. That's quite nice. On the 8. And then this could be a nice place to actually bring in the bass, which might be a bit heavy there. Alright, we'll just take the volume slightly down there. Oops. That's my favourite shortcut, by the way. Shift and Tab to switch between clip view and back again to the instrument view. Yeah. So we're only changing one note there, it sounds a little bit better. I always like to have a little play around with these. I always like to have that the MIDI editor preview so that when you're moving the notes you can actually hear what you're moving, so you've got a good insight into what's going on with it. I'll just keep on repeating that. And we can actually bring in this. Now that's got a huge amount of space around it because of course we're using it in session view where I only wanted to trigger it once every 8 bars. So if I drag that over there, see if that works down there. Yep, creates a little bit of variation in the string piece there. We'll drop the 2 synth pieces out until the strings come in. I'll just use the arrow keys to move that along. Might even bring in the street scene and see what happens. No, that doesn't work yet. Go, main theme comes in. Might not use this, I'm actually going to delete it. Take that over there. extend that. Command D to duplicate. So yesterday I had kind of a little bit of a downer on this, wasn't sure, just wasn't feeling it. I was like, ugh. I didn't like the sound, didn't like the arrangement, didn't like where it was going, so I completely redid it. So that is yesterday and the work I'd done today, and then I just completely rewrote it and did a new arrangement, and I thought, do you know what, you don't need to see us doing all that, because... So what I've got now is, you can see it comes in, drops out a little bit, and then drops back in again, and then fades out. Classic sort of arrangement. So what I'm going to do is just run through what I've done so far. So I changed the strings a little bit. I made it a bit more noisy. I haven't done anything otherwise. I don't think I put anything on the string bus. No, I haven't. All I did was put made it sort of softer, because I just wanted something a bit gentler. So that opens up now with the strings. And instead of having this pad constant, the rain pad, I just made it fade in and out. Just kind of felt better. And this obviously needs a little bit more to it, so let's try. Now with this synth, I added an amp, and I've only got it on 7%, and you can see I played around with the bass, middle and treble. I put it on rock, and other than that, I haven't done anything else to it, but I just felt like it needed something a bit grittier. So if I take this off, that's what it was before, and it just felt a little bit sad, and yeah. Could use that, or I could use the shifter. Actually, that works quite nicely, so let's... Metronome's not on, I'll just do it freeform. The bass, I've added a second wavetable. So what I did was I wanted to put a fifth in there so it had a little bit noise to it. So if I just go to that and I'll solo the bass, you can hear that fifth if I turn it off. Just add a little bit of something, and I felt like it needed something a little bit more. Kept the bit warmer on that. On the bass bus, I've put a drum bus. I figured in case I had any other bass anyway, so I put a drum bus on there. Still got the glue compressor like I've got on every single bus. It just felt like it kind of needed something a little bit more. So let's level that up. So it's done solo. I might just duplicate this. So what I might do is where the bass comes in, remove that, make these two so they're in time with the bass coming in. That works. Let's duplicate, see what happens. And I've got this coming in a little bit later, but I might actually bring it in earlier. So this is the arpeggio pad, which is the one which has already got the Valhalla Supermassive on 100%. So it creates that real pad feel that you can see from the EQ. There's hardly anything going on, but it sounds like a big expansive pad because it's got that huge reverb on it. So it's a really good use of the frequency spectrum. That works. You want all the rhythm? I popped a drum bus on there and I popped up the transients. I added a little bit more drive than the normal one comes with. I put a room reverb on, which is on 15%, and it just added a little bit more. I felt like the drum bus was quite needed just to add a little bit more punch to them. Oh, try that again. See, the strings have kept to the same pattern all the way through, and then it changes a little bit for the breakdown. Turn the level of this up, and what I did with the tap up here, I'm going to solo this. I added another one. I duplicated the whole thing, and then I put a delay on it, so you can see we've got the one lot of delay, and I put it up to 100%. So it's constantly offset, and all I did with this, I just kept on randomizing the operator until I got a sound I liked, and I lowered the attack, lowered the decay, so it was more of a like percussive hit, and that fits in quite nicely. You can see with this synth here with the amp on it when it comes in, it cuts through quite nicely with the amp on it. I've kept the I Love You sample, but it's spare in there. Actually, I'm going to do it so it's every two. And then it comes in the breakdown as well. Now I actually think they go on a little bit too long, so I could delete time, but I think because I've got all things offset in different ways, it's probably not going to be a good idea. So I'm going to grab these, drag them over to here, see if that works right enough. I'll delete that I Love You. I need to drag me strings over as well. Now what I did with the cafe, I've chopped it up just using the timed chop. It's in slice mode, and I've got the division as quarter notes, so I'll actually select it to play. And I just randomly played on the pad a load of these quarter notes into it, so you get quite a nice sort of really choppy thing, because I just felt like it was too much when it was by itself before. So I'm just throwing those things in, playing around with it, and I added dark medium room to it, and I'll just go over to session mode. What I've done in session mode is I dragged the faders all the way up, which is great for looking at mixing down, and you can just spin backwards and forwards there. Yeah, I popped it through the Valhalla, but there's nothing else on that. So as that comes down to it, we've got an extra arpeggio which I added. This is actually using the Reason Rack plugin. because I've got arpeggios already on there and the more complex, and the arpeggiator that comes with the Ableton is just a little bit limited. I'm not really a fan of it. It's good, it works really well, but it's a little bit limited if you want to get a little bit more complex. You've got to really play around to get the most out of it, and it's the dual arpeggio in Reason, which I'll just load up. You've got in here a running droplet field, I've called it. Oh, actually, I'm not using the arpeggiator. I'm using the arpeggiator in the Rob Patton Predator synth, which is one of the first rack extensions I bought, and it is a lovely synth. I do, yes, there you go. I've got a dual arpeggio running there. I'm only using the first arpeggio on that one. On the second one, I've got a pattern in, and I've also got just a standard arpeggio on the arpeggio 1. So altogether, playing a 4-note arpeggio, this is what happened. I've actually got it. I'll explain that. So this is far more complex, so you'd take a long time to set up the Ableton arpeggiator like this. So what I've got, if I press A to go into automation, you can see on the auto filter, I've got that coming up with the, and I'm going to drag these, select them all, and I'm just going to drag them over here, and that's dragged the automation with it as well. Again, just drag them back one. All right, so when that breaks down, just on solo, you've got the string patch. I might get rid of all of that actually. I kept the 2 rhythms playing out throughout the whole thing. So on there, the auto filter is just very, very simply increasing the frequency on the pass. It's a very basic trick, but you know, it's quite nice to bring in a new sound. And that works quite nicely with that cafe, that chop cafe going on in the background. And then we're bringing a different string melody. And I've just repeated this all the way along. But then you can see I've got a slightly different one coming in, and then we bring this back in, I've been playing around with the volumes, so there'll probably need to be a little bit of messing on with that, and then the shifter synth plays the pattern. Now with this, I actually put it a lot more wet on the chain selector. So you can see these are the 3 shifters which are creating the, well, one of them actually is only turned on, and 2 pitch hacks. What I did was I popped the compressor on. There's a change in the melody there. I want to change it up. Actually, this is what I started with, that I felt was a bit too intense for the actual beginning part of it. So on this shifter synth, I popped a compressor just to ease that initial hit. And what I've got, I think, when this tape synth kicks in, I think what I'm going to pop on the arpeggio is a compressor, and I'm just going to sidechain it with the audio from tape synth. Where are we? Tape synth. Turn the side chain on this helps. Right, solo it. There we go, that should work. I'll just command to select the 2. Makes the 2 of them play nicely together. works a lot better because you feel like the two of them are kind of battling against each other, and it just doesn't sound very good when it's like that. So you can see that, then the rhythm comes back in. I've got a little bit of a drop off here. I left that in there because I was thinking about some sort of break, some sort of riser, something like that coming in, which I haven't quite decided on yet. So this kind of plays out, and then what I did with the tape synth and the shifter, I took the two patterns and I just basically chopped them up into different pieces. So I'm using 1-bar patterns, and I just randomly stretched them, dragged them out, because these are all loops. So if I drag that there, as I drag it out, I'll zoom in and you can see I'm dragging those notes out. So I was able to sort of just chop it up, drag the start and end point of the loop different places, and just create a nice little sort of different rhythm going on. And the other thing is, it's actually an amalgam of the first and the second sections. So I need a little bit more to be going on, and I'm kind of erring towards like a noise sound, a noise patch or something like that. I do have some sort of pre-done noise rise things already in Reason, so I might just actually grab that rather than try to play around too much in Ableton and try to make something which is going to be incredibly boring. I'll probably put it on the same. I'll just Command D and I'll duplicate that, so I'll probably put it on the same thing as the samples. Drag the Reason Rack plugin in and go into the browser and look for some patches. We've got noises. Let's just try see what we've got. Helps if I actually arm the track. It's a bit much. You can see that's got an automated filter there. You can see that it's this envelope here which is controlling it, so I'll just increase the time of the envelope. Perfect. I'll just record that. Obviously a little bit too early. Try that. And we might need a little bit of a. Oops, don't need to open that actually. Gain's right down from. What I need to do, if I go to noise here, is pop that reverb right up. Ascend to the Valhalla. Keep those on actually. Actually just drag that out a little bit. Double click on it and just move them over there. At the end of that, just make it tight. Just going to increase the attack. That's good. That works. I'll see if it works over here as well. I'm not so sure about that bit. kind of hearing some beeps in that, so what I need to do is I'll just Command D to duplicate that as a channel. The reason I'm duplicating them is because it duplicates the routing which routes it to the synth bus, so they're all going to the same place and I don't have to mess around setting up the routing. So all I've got to do is just delete what we've got there, and I'm just going to put in in fact I'm going to put in an operator. That's good. I'm going to increase this one. I'm going to turn this one into a square. Rename that to beep. That kind of says what it does. Just go through here and check the beep. I'm going to I've got a little bit of that going on of the dotted eighth note delay. Right, let's zoom back in. So when this drops down, pop the metronome on, and then start recording up here. I might not even need to record actually, but let's do it. I'm using the record button on the push, so that's why it's a little bit erratic. So I'm going to just press quantize on the push. And duplicate that. Try again. Because I don't want that delay on it, I'm going to put a custom delay on it, and we're just going to go to basic delay module. Again, I'll stop that. See what happens if I turn the resonance all the way up. We'll just solo it. I'm just going to try playing around with the LFO and the filter resonance. So all I've done there is just turned off the LFO, because otherwise it modulates the frequency of the oscillators, or the operators as they're called, and then set destination B as the filter resonance. Turn the rate down. Just to give a little bit of something to it, a little bit of movement to it. That brings with it is it varies the volume a little bit. So we'll just try and equalise it with the compressor there. And then I'll duplicate that, drag it down. From there, I actually only want the second half of that, and I'm going to keep that constant. Arpeggio going in that bit there. Because that's the loop, I'm just dragging it out. Check this out in the master channel. I've got a spectrum and just check to see what it actually looks like. Happy with that. Obviously mixing by ear, but it's nice to check it on the frequency analyzer because my ears are a bit buggered anyway. You know, I've got sort of high frequency bit hearing loss. I've got dips in me hearing in different places, so it's quite useful to actually check that out as well. I've also got the Julian loudness meter, really handy for checking the LUFS. So check the Julian loudness meter at -14, which is not too bad for round about what I'm doing, but the true peak's only 1.7, -1.7. So I'm going to use the gain on the limiter to get that up. And I think realistically the issue with this is actually this synth here. So on that, all I've done is just put the limiter there just to -17 because there's a few peaks coming through on that which are a little bit messy that I want to control. Other than that, yeah. I'm happy with that. I've selected that section there, and if I now click on delete time, you can see the whole thing's just been completely snipped. Now, it does mean that I've lost a little bit, so what I'm going to do is actually just take that bit out and go to edit and delete time again. That should sound alright. Now the thing that hasn't quite worked then is the strings, so I'll just grab them, duplicate that out. Excellent. I could even add the noise in at the end there, or maybe not. And there we have it, a very long form way of looking at how I work, how I put things together, what I've done to each part. Hope this has been helpful. It's a lot longer video than normal, but yeah, thought I'd see what happens, throw it out there, see if you enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching. As you can see, it's got a bit darker now. It's looking a bit foreboding out there. I think it's about to do a lot more raining. Cheers, see you later. Bye.